BlizzCon is 24 hours away. It's being held on November 3rd and November 4th. And November 4th on the agenda is Diablo 4. So there's going to be discussions around Diablo 4. I would imagine about the future, Season 3, maybe the expansion. And there's going to be a campfire chat. So I'm really looking forward to the next 2 days at BlizzCon to see what's going to be discussed specifically on Diablo 4. But the point of this video is I want to give you my predictions, or I guess my wish list of what I believe Diablo 4 should have and should walk towards as far as improvements. As many of you know, I'm an avid D4 player. I've been playing Diablo 4 since release. I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours in the game. Currently, I stopped playing in the middle of Season 2, and I am looking forward to this game getting to a point where I don't feel bored. So I'm going to discuss what I believe this game needs to implement in order for it to attract a huge player base. We have a lot to talk about. I hope you'll stick around. We'll see you on the other side. Okay, so as you can see here, Blizzard has announced the Campfire Chat happening at BlizzCon, which will go over the future of Diablo 4. Exciting news for Diablo fans. The Diablo 4 development team has an important announcement for you. They will be revealing the future of the game at BlizzCon, taking place on Saturday, November 4th from 2:30 to 3:30. Here's what we can expect. Exciting news for Diablo fans. The Diablo 4 development team has an important announcement for you. They will be revealing the future of the game at BlizzCon, taking place on Saturday, November 4th from 2:30 to 3:30. Here's what you can expect. BlizzCon Diablo 4 Campfire Chat, November 4th between 2:30 and 3:30. Special guests. The event will feature key figures from the Diablo 4 development team, including Game Director Joe Shilley, Associate Game Director Brent Gibson, Production Director Tiffany Watt, Lead Game Producer Kaylee Calder, and Associate Director of Community Adam Fletcher. They will be live at BlizzCon to discuss what's in store for Diablo 4. The Campfire Chat will be an engaging discussion about the game's future and what players can look forward to in Diablo 4. The event will be live streamed for those unable to attend BlizzCon in person, allowing fans from around the world to tune in and catch all the exciting news. In addition, attendees on the first day at BlizzCon will have the opportunity to submit questions. A special box will be placed in the Diablo section of BlizzCon where you can drop your questions. Alternatively, you can also send your questions through social media during the Campfire Chat. The team will answer these questions, providing valuable insight into the game's up-and-coming developments. Okay, so like I said in the intro, looks like this weekend at BlizzCon, we're going to get another unpeeling of what is happening in Diablo 4 and the future of it. And like I said in my intro, it's going to hopefully give us another layer of what we can expect to see in the future plans of Diablo 4. As I stated in previous videos, the positive step forward taken by the Diablo 4 dev team between Season 1 and Season 2 was a huge step and improvement in the game. I hope what we hear at BlizzCon is going to be another huge step between Season 2 and Season 3. Another positive step that adds another layer of improvement to the Diablo 4 gameplay. Only time will tell. Now, before I get into the specifics and my wish list, I just wanted to update everyone. Patch 121 is out, and as you can see, the test dummy and resetting the Paragon points are now live in the game. And as you can see, with the Paragon points, we now have a refund all button on the Paragon board, and you just hit refund all and it will make sure that that's what you want to do It'll tell you what your refund cost is, how many Paragon points you're going to get back, and you just hit confirm, and your Paragon board is reset all in one push of the button. The training dummy. Training dummy's now in the game. It is just north of Kovashad, and you see it right here. It's called the training grounds. It's just literally a little bit north of Kovashad, sorry. So that's the location of the training grounds, which is in the game right now. And as you can see, there's a training dummy. And what you can do is just come over here and you can put multiple dummies, single training, boss training, and you just test with the training dummy. Now, I'm not going to elaborate on either of the refunding of all on the Paragon points or the training dummy. I do want to say one thing in reference to the training dummy. This is very basic. We have no way of telling what our crit is. We have no way of telling what our damage per second is. This training dummy grounds needs improvements in the sense of, and if anyone's played Lost Ark, their training grounds has a menu on the right side of the screen, and it has everything under the sun that you want to calculate, and it gives you your average damage, your average crit, and so on and so on. You can reset it and change your gear and test that and see. We have no way of telling if I'm going to change my sorcerer's build to see, okay, is chain lightning better than firewall? And we already know it is. But my point is, you can't accurately test. What am I going to do here? Get a calculator and add everything up and do it by memory, or record this and then slowly look at it? So this needs improvement, but this is a great improvement because we can test our builds now. Okay, so now on to the good stuff. My predictions for, or sorry, my wish list for what I'd like to see implemented in Diablo 4. Now, let me just put a caveat to that comment. We have recently had a data mine released in reference to Diablo 4, and we've learned through that data mine, whether or not it's true, we don't know yet, but the data mine revealed that the expansion, the annual expansion, which we're all guesstimating is going to be obviously at the annual anniversary of Diablo 4's launch, which is June of 2024, in and around there, that there's going to be a Lord of Hatred expansion. It's going to include Mephisto. We already know the location, which is just southeast of the current sanctuary map that's currently in our map in Diablo 4. So it all makes sense. Whether or not it becomes true, we don't know. Only time will tell. We also learned through the data mining that there's going to be companions, so mercenary somehow is going to be implemented into the expansion, and a flashback to Diablo 2 Resurrected, where runes are going to be implemented in the game. Again, these are tidbits of what was exposed through the data mine, and again, it's speculation. We're not sure whether or not that's going to happen, but that's what we have as far as information. Now, in reference to my beliefs on what I believe needs to happen in Diablo 4, this is my personal wish list. So it's my opinion on what I'd like to see implemented in Diablo 4. And as I've said many times, and this sentiment is, I would guess, also a major sentiment that a lot of players for Diablo 4 have. How do I know that? Well, all you have to do is go on Reddit, X, go on any Diablo 4 live stream, listen to any Diablo 4 major content creator, and they're all saying the same thing. The Diablo 4 has taken a great step forward when it comes to Season 2, but there's still stuff missing. I believe that is a true statement, that most of us feel that way. So I'd like to get ahead of the curve, and give you my predictions. And then what we can do is we'll see how much depth they go into the future of Diablo 4 and BlizzCon. And then we can look back at my predictions. But most importantly, I want to put this in my video log on my YouTube channel, because I like to test myself and see how far off I was, or if I was accurate. But personally, I'd like to see the following changes implemented in Diablo 4 in the very near future. We're going to start off with quality of life. Here's my D4 wish list. And obviously, I've done a video already on this, but loot filters. I don't see the loot dropping issue that we currently have in Diablo 4 going away. So if that's going to be the case, then this game needs a loot filter. I don't need to tell everyone what other games have really good loot filters, where you can customize your loot filter to display or not display what's dropping on the ground while you're out and about doing your activities and grinding in the game. So this game needs a loot filter. Like I said, I don't see the loot drops changing at all, or the pure volume of them. So I think if we really want D4 to continue to improve, as far as quality of life, loot filters are big up on that list. Also, what's really lacking, and a lot of the player base complains about this, I hear a lot about it in my comments on my videos, and that's improvements to the social part of the game. And I'm talking specifically about grouping up, and more importantly, what I'd like to see from a selfish personal standpoint is the clan feature, guilds, whatever it's called in the game. Although you can create one, it's not the most user-friendly when it comes to setting it up, inviting people to your clan. So this needs improving. And the reason why the guild/clan feature in the game isn't good, because at a whole, the whole social part of this game, grouping up, playing with other people, isn't exactly the best. Really, what we can do in this game is you can basically group up with people and run an activity in the game. And that's really the basic function of a social aspect in the game. There's a lot of improvements that can happen. So what I'd like to see, and this will foster, again, guys, keep in mind when I'm saying this stuff, I'm thinking making this game repeatable, fun, having a purpose. I always talk about a game having a purpose. And if you hit on those things, then you get player retention, you get people playing the game over and over. And so my wish list has that in the back, always thinking, how can we make this game repeatable, fun, a game that people are playing all the time? Because I know that's what I want it to be. I want to be playing this game every day. So improvements to social needs to happen. Looking for group, allowing players, if they don't have a huge social group of friends, that they can go into the game and utilize the game's features to group up with other people. Okay. And clans/guilds, they need improvements on that. The menu, how you invite people, and all that kind of stuff. So from a quality of life, these are two things I'd like to see implemented in the game. The next thing I want to discuss on my wish list is, and I don't know if I phrased this properly, but I'm talking about the mechanics, how we navigate through through Sanctuary. So I labeled it mechanics. There's probably a better word for it, but you'll get where I'm going with this. So my D4 wish list, what I want to see from a mechanics standpoint is we need a crafting system. Again, you players, all they want is to be able to make their character look and feel like how they want to play and their play style, since it is a Playstyle is a personal thing. We all have varying degrees of playstyles and different things that we like and don't like. So implementing a crafting system in Diablo 4 will give us the mechanic to be able to do that. And of course, the big one, itemization. We need to be able to customize our class and character. Now, in the data mine, they did make reference to ruins being introduced in the game. Okay, so if the data mine is true, then this middle one in some way is going to be addressed. Now, how it's implemented and executed, that's a discussion for another day. But if the data mine is true, then that's, to me, a positive step forward. But regardless, I'd like to see, and I know a lot of other players feel the same way, this is a topic that gets discussed a lot from everybody, and that's itemization. And again, I keep referencing back to Diablo 2. It is one of the main reasons why players continue to play it today, is because of the customization of the character that you have in your hands vis-a-vis the ruins and crafting. And itemization. And of course, my wish list includes implementing new classes and balancing those classes, making all classes viable. Now, again, the data mine has revealed that we're going to get a new class in the expansion. Let's hope that's true, but the game needs to implement new classes minimum at every expansion. And so that'll continue to keep us interested in the game. Try different and new classes. Again, it's all about repeatability, having fun, because when you're trying new classes, you're experiencing new mechanics, you're experiencing new skills. So you're keeping the player base engaged. And of course, you can't throw that all away by not having all the classes be viable. So these are my wish lists for the mechanics, for a lack of a better term. Now for my favorite items on my wish list. And boy, are these juicy. Okay. So my wish list for endgame improvements, which in my opinion is the number one problem that Diablo 4 has currently in the state of the game today, is the lack of endgame content. It is what is holding back this game. This gets addressed, and we're talking another level of discussion and a huge return of the player base coming back. So, of course, I've spent long and hard thinking about this, but what really I had my light bulb moment was when the data mine came out and they mentioned that potentially raids are coming to Diablo 4. Let me tell you, when I read that sentence in the data mine, I literally fell off my chair. I am a huge raider. I did it in WoW. I did it in Destiny. I did it in Lost Ark. Raiding in games, and I know this may put shoulders up for a lot of people. ARPGs, I know this is more of an MMO thing. However, why not, guys? You have to understand how raids will improve this game so much. It will address so many things with one swoop of the brush. Putting raids into this game, in my opinion, will address a huge problem with the lack of endgame in Diablo 4. Implementing raids in this game, I think, will address the huge hole with the endgame content in this game. Raids will provide, number one, it will provide fun in the game. For those of you that have never raided before, raids aren't like how the current bosses are in Diablo 4 right now, where they're basically punching bags. You go in there, you fight them, you kill it, over and done with. Raids are phases. There's phases in the raid. You're going in as a team. you're sometimes splitting up, and a group of the raiders, a group of the team is doing one thing, one task, another group is doing another task. When you're fighting a big monster or the big monster in that one phase, there's mechanics in the fight that if you don't stun, if you don't damage enough, you wipe, right? And you have to start that phase over, or whatever, dependent on the raid and the game, right? But you get my point. The point is, this will really bring a lot of fun to the game, in my opinion. So, and raids will also address the lack of endgame content. Well, what do you mean by that, Sammy? Well, there's so much potential when it comes to introducing raids into the game. Now, and I'll explain. Let's look at the data mine, and if it's true, Lord of Hatred is going to be the name of the expansion. It's going to be based around Mephisto, which is the character, one of the primevals. And I believe in Diablo 2, we see that in Act 3 in Diablo 2. But let's say they were to implement a Mephisto raid, where you now have the expansion, Lord of Hatred, and the premise of that expansion is the Mephisto raid. So it knocks off, two birds with one stone, so to speak, where Mephisto is the new expansion, and the Mephisto raid is also the addition to the expansion. So it elevates the current way Diablo 4 is implementing these new bosses into the game, where it's basically a punching bag. You go, you fight it, and end of story. And you can do it by yourself, most do, or you can find other friends and go fight. It's really boring. It's very anticlimactic. That's not how you say that. But you know what I mean. Really, every boss fight currently in D4 that I've watched has been very boring to watch. And if you look at the players killing the bosses, there's not a lot of fun into it. It doesn't look like it. Great, you killed the boss, you can say you did it, whoopee, right? And don't get me wrong, of course, that's an achievement. But implementing raids in Diablo 4 will be such a huge win, in my opinion. And I'm going to even add another layer of spiciness to that. Gear sets. We need to implement gear sets. I mentioned I've done a lot of raiding in my gaming career. Yeah. So when I played Destiny, the raids had gear sets. So I would run raid A. I would go, and the chest would drop on the first time. Or maybe I wouldn't get a piece of a gear set until the third time I ran it. And then I would run it again, and I would get the helm. And then I would run it another 4 times until I got the boots. And I had to run it another 5 times until I got the gauntlets. You see where I'm going with this? The game kept me looped in because I wanted to finish the gear set, right? So again, repeatability. And I had fun doing it. I didn't think, oh my God, I have to run this raid again. Don't get me wrong. Of course, if you've run a raid 6 times and not one piece of gear set has dropped, of course you're going to get mad at RNG, but that's a different mad. That's a good mad as far as I'm concerned. But from the repeatability standpoint, I think it brings a lot to it. And because players are going to want to do the raid, number one, to complete the gear set. Number two, maybe they've completed the gear set, but they don't like the affixes and they want to improve the affixes on it, so they continue to run it. But my point is, players are chasing something. That's what you need in this game, chasing and having fun and waiting for the expectation of the next drop being that drop that you need. This is what's needed in the game. Raids, in my opinion, address that. Now, one thing though, the gear sets need to be strong. They need to be unique. They need to be something that when a player wears it and they're roaming around Sanctuary and other players that are like, I don't want to do the raid. It's useless. I don't like gear sets. And they're walking around Sanctuary and fighting, and they're looking at that player like, wow, damn, that guy looks good. Like, that's the kind of gear sets you need. And obviously the power. I'm not just talking aesthetics, although, yes, it has to be aesthetically pleasing. Something a player is walking around with their shoulders up saying, look at me, I finished the Mephisto raid. That's what we need in the game. Okay, there you have it, folks. I just wanted to cover, as you can see, the agenda behind me. BlizzCon is on November 3rd and November 4th. I'm really looking forward to what is going to be said about the future of Diablo 4. So looking forward to that. And I thought I also would throw my hat in the ring as far as my wish list for Diablo 4 moving forward. We are getting closer and closer to the annual expansion. If everything we know is true, we are months away, 6 months away from the annual expansion. So I want to throw my hat in the ring as far as what I believe are improvements that need to be put into the game. Anyway, I really want to thank you for watching my video. And if you can like, comment, and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. We got a nice little friendly community happening here. So if you're interested in joining us, come on, give us a like, comment, and subscribe. I have to say, it's been a blast. The community continues to grow. So we'd love to have you. And we've coined it the Caps Waypoint. So we'd love to have you at the Caps Waypoint. See you there. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care.